this person, and in the meanwhile, the security people who have done a security check on Vaibhav find out that he just came from Bangalore and he had taken over Bangalore. He's also taken over Mumbai. Now he's come to Vellore to take over Vellore, unbeknownst to everybody else, right? Now there's a red flag saying that, oh, this guy is definitely a terrorist. We can't let him meet the mayor, right? Then the mayor says, oh my God, this guy's a terrorist. So Vaibhav quietly, he didn't come by himself. Behind him, there were 10 other of his gundas with him, right? All of them invade the mayor's office. And by then it's too late, they capture the mayor, right? The mayor, meanwhile, has sounded the alarm, and the alarm has gone to the headquarters and the army headquarters, and the army general is now comes over to Vellore. The army general brings his forces with him. The army general brings the forces, and what does the general do? The general doesn't fight. The general doesn't fight. The general just says to the Air Force, hey, you go bring you attack from the air. He tells the army, go, you go attack, one-on-one. And he tells the Navy, if there's water, then you go kill the Navy. He and the Marines, and the general just gives orders. Ultimately, all the army comes, destroys the terrorists. Terrorists are gone. Army goes back to their headquarters, and we are back to a utopic Vellore. The end. Did you hear immunology?
Yeah.
So what analogies can you tell me? Who are the characters? Who's Vaibhav?
Vaibhav is a pathogen in this case? Or
Vaibhav is a pathogen.
Yeah,
yes,
or
pathogen.
Foreign particle. And then Vellore is
Foreign particle.
Particular organ. Then the
mayor, or body, or the body,
yeah, or the body. Then the mayor's office is probably, maybe lymphatic tissue or
lymphatic tissue. Yes, lymphatic tissue.
Maybe spleen, and then the mayor is basically all the T cells. And
yes,
so they are guiding.
And who's the general? Who's the general? Who's the general?
Okay.
Anyone? Who's the general?
The general can be probably T helper cell.
Yes, general is the CD4 positive cell. It doesn't do any function, only tells other people to do what to do.
Yeah, but still wins the war.
But still wins the war. Required, absolutely required. If you kill the general, you lose the war.
You lose the war. Right.
So what is that analogy of? If you kill the general and lose the war, which disease is that? HIV. HIV kills the CD4 cell. You kill the general and you lose the war.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And who is the Air Force? Who's the Air Force?
The B cell?
What part of the immune system is the B cell? Why is it the Air Force?
Those are they're the ones who can generate the antibodies.
And the antibodies are missiles. They are sitting in one place, they're sending missiles, and it's going all over the body. And then what are the T cells then? What are the CD8 cytotoxic T cells then?
Those are the weapons?
That's the army. You need hand-to-hand combat to kill. You need hand-to-hand combat to kill individual cells.
Yeah.
Right? And so what is the Navy then? The Navy is the mucosal immune system.
Yes.
Right? I mean, the analogies can go up. So who is the police? Who's the police? What are they?
They're the macrophages?
They are the regulatory T cells, regulatory immune response, regulatory T cells.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Vaibhav had left and joined. He missed the whole story, which was probably
he didn't want to be the villain.
I don't know why, it was so bad to believe that story at that point. But I don't have electricity.
Anyway, thankfully Thankfully, Bhavya has recorded it, so I think we are good. You'll be able to hear it.
Thank you.
तुम ही
Thanks,
villain थे,
Bhavya.
तुम ही hero हो. तुम ही villain हो, तुम ही hero हो.
अरे हीरो विलन नहीं पता, बट आई वुड हैव बीन, मुझे स्टोरी कहां से चाहिए, वरना मैं सो नहीं पाऊंगा.
उन्हीं में साथ मर गए थे कहानी में.
So
What?
Jaya, what do you think? Like, huh?
Yeah. Sorry, carry on. I'll
Jaya.
ask Bhavya later.
Yeah. Jaya, what do you think of the story? Did that sort of relate to something that you know about, basic stuff about immunology that you know?
Yeah. I understood it. Maybe I don't know the exact terminologies, but especially during COVID and when we were talking about how immune responses were like more dangerous than the disease itself and things like that, and I could relate to that, and I could also relate to I love stories. That's what I work with.
Yeah.
So anything that
Yeah.
has knowledge, I think makes me understand it a lot better. Yeah, so I could relate to it.
Great. Okay, so today the story I wanted to tell is part of its. You'll see the slide deck in the slides. The slide deck is called Immunology, the analogy of immunology, Immuno-Analogy. So it is my first. I just wanted to introduce the role of immunology and the analogy. This is not my story that I've made. The first time I heard this story, it was really beautifully told, was by Polly Matzinger in 1988, when she had published a New York Times article. You can actually Google Polly Matzinger, New York Times, immunology. And this story is told by her in New York Times. So, but it's a great analogy to start discussion on immunology. Right? There are so many, within the analogy, there are so many things. Vaibhav. Vaibhav, anything to add?
No, not really, but I understood I was the COVID virus in the story.
Yes, he was a virus.
Yeah. No, but I do agree to a point that putting things in perspective, using alternative names, alternative analogies is gonna be one of the things, like Jaya said, to explain it to general word, because when the disease comes, it's not the scientists who suffer, it's the other people who are suffering. And maybe this effort is going in that direction, I don't know, where a lot more people can understand what is exactly happening inside their body.
Yeah.
What scientists, or because, for example, I can put another analogy here with this analogy is, in old times when wars used to be there, it's not that everybody has to go to war, only soldiers will go, but everybody has to understand what kind of war is happening and why the war is happening. Now these are the new wars of this century, and we are not fighting with other humans but with other species now, and we have to understand who are our soldiers, what is the risk, and what is at stake, what are the dangers, what could be the benefit if we fight it out. So it's good to put these analogies in place.
No, I think very well said. So, okay, so if there are no further comments, if you are interested in reading further about this, it's not a pitch, but anyway, you should read the book that I've written. This story is part of that book, The Good Genes Gone Bad. If you can look at that book, I've written the story. The book is supposedly meant for lay people. It is I've been told a little bit more complicated than for an absolute lay person, but you can get started with it. And that book will help you understand some aspects of immunology that we will cover in this class. Great. So this was class 1. Next time, what we're going to talk about is antigens and antigen presenting cells. How does the virus, or how do pathogens enter our body? That's step number 1. Okay. All right. So thank you. We'll catch up next week. Great to see the enthusiasm.